roll these and go for like 5 minutes. Anyways, we're on the air, folks. Welcome back to another week here on the Regulators, your source for spicy search news, brought to you by the SEO Trading Dojo. Thank you, Deborah Masteller, for pushing my ass. I would say that because she busted my balls like today. She's like, I don't know. You have so many shows. Yeah, good. Yeah. Lacking in that, slacking in that. Anyways, back with us as always. We got Terry Van Horn, SEO Pros, SEO Dojo. How are you this week, sir?
Good, Dave. Good.
You're back in the blue and white IC?
Yeah, well,
wow.
Just in the house. I won't wear it on the street for a while.
Between being an SEO and a Leafs fan, you really are a sucker for punishment. That's all there is to it, man. Steve Garrett, sir. Steam-driven media, lollipop sucker, and Mountain Dew drinking. How are you? How's it going today? You got all the sugar shit going on, man. You got like the lollipop, you got the popcorn, man. You just. I'm sorry, is it soda down there? I think pop's just a Canadian thing.
Depends on what part of the state you're in.
All right, fair enough. And of course, welcome to everyone out there, which is probably what. Frank Watson? No, he's not even here yet. Okay. I think it's it. All right, so for those who don't know, we've been doing sort of a first half educational thing each week because folks are busting their balls about always just bitching about shit, which is what we enjoy. But so we do toss it up here and there. So this week, for your educational purposes, or edu-tainment, I guess as we call it, we're going to be doing a little local. I guess, Steve, this sort of came up a few weeks ago and it was like on the list. We kind of started working it out. So I guess before we even get to the post and everything else, what was the genesis as far as that goes? As far as personal experiences or just chatter in the industry or what?
Yeah, I picked up another new client a few weeks ago and they were complaining about not being able to get any local business. And so I took a quick look at their website, and the first thing I noticed was they didn't have their address on their website. It's like, how are people supposed to find you if you don't have your address on your website? Well, we've got this map. It's like, well, yeah, you've got this big graphic of this whole section of the state with a little dot saying we're here. And it just, then I got to look at more websites, and you see so many of these obvious things that nobody seems to be doing. And I figured, well, if nobody's doing them, then maybe they're not as obvious as we thought they were.
Well, I think there's.
I'm kind of the opposite, dude. I leave my address off my website because I don't want Google over geo-targeting me. I don't want to end up in Google CA. I'm not going to make any money. So I've got my site hosted in the States. I've got no contact information, at least location information on the website or anything like that. I'm basically trying to head fuck Google with it by semi-American traffic because that's where my clients are. But yeah, generally speaking, if you're trying to go local in a true local way, yeah, that just might be an interesting signal to have. What were you saying there, Terry?
Well, we put, even before Google was around, I put address on every page because it increases trust on the website. That's why I don't understand why people don't put it on. If you're going to buy something from someone, well, I want to know that they have an address. Then I know where I have to go,
With my Louisville Slugger when things don't go wrong.
Pardon me?
I said, you need an address to know where you're going with your Louisville Slugger when things go wrong.
Right. Which also means they're probably on the up and up, because, if you're screwing somebody, you ain't putting your website address, your address on your website, that's for sure. Nor are you giving.
Well, no, but they might anyways. I think diligence is still involved. A recent thing that with Tanya and I, she was questioning the legitimacy of a given company, and they had addresses on their website. So we called the building manager and asked if this company was actually there, and he's like, never heard of them. It's like, thank you. So, yeah, an address doesn't implicitly denote trust, folks. You kind of
But it gives you a way to find that out if you need to
right,
know, right, Dave? That's my
right.
point.
It's a starting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly we know actually from the Google Raters guide last year and everything else that you know that is something they look for in trust signals, or at least the quality search people need.
Yeah.
All right.
Also want that information handy so that if somebody sees something, right, and they want to call you, they don't have to then look around for address and phone number, right? Because, you know, for me, I've always considered that more important for reasons that don't even have to do with search engines, right? I'm sure Steve feels the same way. I'm not sure about that, though.
It's frustrating because, you know, you've got these brick and mortar businesses that thrive on driving people to their store, not to their website. And when you hear, you know, when you talk to them and they say, well, we've been paying this SEO for 2 years and our website's doing great, but, you know, nobody locally knows we're here. Well, there's a serious problem because your SEO didn't sit down with you and figure out what your goal is to begin with. If your goal is to drive people to your actual physical store, that really needs to be a priority. And
Right,
you know,
right. 80% of my business is coming from the actual stores, so the online element's more of a driver of traffic, literally traffic, than it is about selling shit.
Well, and same with your call to action. Like for a client where the lead, most of them come by phone, I don't ask them to fill in a fucking form. It's, you know, here's the number, call us. You know, to me, that's the most important thing. Not whether I can really track it. I can figure that out. Because, you know, lots of people now won't even bother with a form. They just want a phone. It's much easier, especially if you're on a mobile device.
Right. And that's the other side of that. It's, you know, if you're really a brick and mortar that thrives on driving people to your location, being mobile friendly is kind of huge. At least making your phone number mobile friendly.
Right.
So,
just as with the inverse, if you're trying to do online, you know, you should have an app, not a fucking mobile friendly fuck the site. But yeah, you know what I mean? Well, how are people? I don't know. Like, again, anytime we're somewhere, you know, if it's a restaurant or whatever we're looking for, it's just like you're saying, it's on that phone because it's immediate. This isn't a long-term 3-4 visit by in a lot of situations. It's a, I'm looking for something to eat, Greek food, or, you know.
Right. And that's really the worst part is these smaller restaurants. We've got a bunch of them around us, and there's no way to find them. You know, you do a search locally for restaurants here, and the nearest ones pop up 30 miles away. Because the ones that are local didn't even bother to put up just a single one-page website saying, we are here.
Someone like that could probably just put up a Google Plus page and not do too badly.
Well, hell, I've done that to drum
exactly.
up local business. I've done that to drum up local business as well, Steve. Like, if I'm in an establishment I think is a good place, I'll check and see what their listing is and this and that. If it's all crap, it's like, oh, good to meet you. I can help you.
Well, yeah, and especially like.
Did you know you have a Google Plus? Did you know you have a Google local listing that's unmanned at the moment?
There are plenty of restaurants around here that I'm sure have amazing food, but when you pull up in the parking lot, there's no way I'm going in there. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Shall we?
On the roadside there, Steve? Old place that been in the family for 100 years.
Right.
Right. All right. So to get us rolling today, on this note, we have a post from what is this site again? Oh, it's Steam Driven. Oh, it's Steam Driven Media.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
It's been over a year since I posted a blog post, so I thought it was kind of.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never heard of this guy. He's not, you know, he's obviously not on the Moz or search engine land, so his advice must be shit, right? Okay. Yeah. Anyways, all right, brother. Let's start with numero uno, sir.
Well, back to what we were talking about the address. Um, just having a contact page with your address and phone number on it's generally not enough these days to really make sure that you do at least better than normal or at least better than average. I'm a huge fan for brick and mortar stores of stuffing the address in the footer, wrapping it in the address schema, and having it just be on every single page. Because even though Google's pretty good about saying, well, this website belongs to this geolocation, when you start matching up key phrases and addresses for local search for different little tiny minor long tail stuff, you want to make sure you grab every last piece of that so that your address is on every single page of content, tying the two together. And the same thing goes with the phone number. If you've got a local phone number and a toll-free, make sure you include your local phone number on there. The area code is another one of those regional clues. It's becoming a little bit less. I mean, obviously with cell phones you can take them anywhere, but as far as businesses with landlines, having that area code reinforcing your local address can be really good, especially if that phone number is tied to your Google Plus page.
Can I just throw something there along those lines? There's going to be businesses that obviously aren't, big corporations, but still have multiple locations. I think it's just important for folks to know that the last we heard, which is probably a year and a half ago, so who knows, but is that you should have an actual landing page for each location. Google's, from what they've said in the past, the last time I talked to them about it, again, about a year and a half ago, maybe a year and change. But it was to have, if you've got, instead of having that contact page that lists 5 or 6 locations, literally have a page for each if you've got 5 or 6.
Yeah, we've done that in the past, and a separate Google Plus page for each location. You start treating them more like franchises instead of, more, just a larger business scattered all over the place.
Well, it's a double entity. It becomes a double entity. It's a business entity and a location entity. You know what I mean? So
right.
You almost want to think in those terms. I agree that you should diversify that till it's unmanageable, I guess. I guess at some point it probably isn't manageable. But.
Right.
I wonder, that's interesting, too, because, I've seen a lot of corporations, obviously we all have, that have various Twitter accounts for various departments and so on, you know what I mean? So that those customer service sections can take care of that a lot easier without muddying it up even in Twitter and stuff. So I think even in a Twitter approach, there's something to be said for diversifying your entity.
Exactly. The biggest problem is when you're going the other direction. And this is something we've complained about since the beginning of Google Local, is their complete inability to deal with business parks, doctors' offices, and realtors. They can't seem to get their head around the fact that you can have 20 different realtors working out of the same address, and each one of them is their own unique business. Only one of them gets credit for that location.
Even if there's not suite numbers on the door, give them goddamn suite numbers. Make them up. Suite 101 with Suite 102.
But that's not enough if especially if you're a real estate agent. Having the different suite numbers isn't going to work. No. I've yet to see it work. There's too many of them, and if everybody has their own suite number, it's all going to get lumped, and they're going to pick one.
I think in a situation like that, you treat it more like a corporation with internal entities. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it would be a mindset of.
Well, since they've outlawed using mail drops as addresses, that's become an issue too. Where we used to get around it by going to mailboxes, etc., and getting a unique address for that mailbox.
All right,
that's now illegal.
Yeah, but now you can't have they're kind of looking at multiple businesses at the same address, correct, Steve?
Whatever, different topic. We got fucking 15 minutes in on topic one.
Okay.
We got 6 more to go, boys. All right, number 2, address schema, sir.
Yeah, this is the only schema I make sure we put on everything. The rest of them are good, are nice to have if you've got time and they fit in the budget and the workflow and all this. But this is the only one I make sure we step out and make sure that gets done. It's the one thing that seems to have the most bang for the buck when there's 2 relatively equal websites. The one with the schema on it seems to do better. So it's purely anecdotal, but I like it for that one thing.
Perfect. All right.
I think it helps with the breadcrumbs quite a bit too, Steve. Having the breadcrumb schema, that's another one I make.
I'm with you there, Terry. Actually, I like that one. Yeah, that's one I don't mind advising for sure. Okay, number 3, include your local phone number. I'm getting a sense you're sending lots of signals here, Steve. Because again, these are all things I see in patents and the search quality rater guides. These are all stuff that you actually see in algorithms. So.
Right, and it also works great for mobile, especially if you can make your phone number part of your header. So the first thing they see on your website is a phone number so they can call you.
And amazingly enough, it's good for your visitors too. It goes back to that trust thing with number 1, with the address. It goes back to that trust thing. You're not even putting your phone number on there. You know, there's could be a red flag to a user.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's it for the big 3 on-site. Is there anything else? Again, like I said, I think we mentioned the landing pages idea. Maybe something out there. Anything else on-site we could take up here, gentlemen? Steve was also looking to expand this article, so I think that's about it. I does hosting really play into it these days? I think maybe to a degree, but I don't think so. Because any big hosting company, HostGator, GoDaddy, whatever, your server could be bloody anywhere compared to where your physical location is. So I can't see that really playing.
And your website's likely hosted in multiple locations based on load.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
The days of using local IP for your local ISP is as a geo signal has kind of gone away.
Well, with cloud computing too, the days of people being in like pretty soon everyone will be on the cloud, or most websites will be, I think.
All right, so under our offsite local search tips, Google Plus. Wow. Now I know why we're saying this, but I'm just playing the devil's advocate because this is a show. Some might say to you that Google Plus doesn't really mean shit. So why would someone want to be on there?
In the grand scheme of things, for ranking signals, it probably doesn't mean shit. But when it comes to having your reviews placed on your listing in the search and having you appear in the map, it really does make a difference. I can't see not having one. It doesn't cost anything. It takes 10 minutes to set up, and even if you never use it again, that's really all you need.
It's a direct pipeline at the end of the day, isn't it? You want to feed signals into Google, this is your best place to do.
And like some of the other things, if for no other reason you claim your listing, so nobody else can claim it and screw with you. There's nothing worse than having somebody claim your listing and claim your business is closed.
Well, for me, it comes down to if Google is going to use any social signals, they're going to be the ones that they're in total control of.
Right.
So that makes sense to me. And I've kind of seen
look at like the local review stuff. When I was trying to research sentiment, they'll even look at the person, meaning that's why they wanted control over the reviews and everything else too. But look, remember we always talk about how they throw at the top end and the bottom end, and for those listening, what that means is if someone only leaves positive reviews, like they run around like, oh, everything's wonderful, or someone leaves negative reviews all the time saying everything's shit, he hates the world, throw those out. but like you say, to having that control over the data and who's in there, that's certainly, yes, I'd agree.
Yeah. Same with the announcements about Twitter. I don't think we'll
Oh,
see.
we're not going there yet. We're not going there yet, man. Come on.
Okay. Just.
What do you want to do? To run back to the last point, good friend of the show, Alan Blayweiss, was saying that hosting matters for geo. We're talking about country targeting. I would, for the most part, agree with that. Meaning, again, like I look for American clients, so my site's hosted in the States. I have no geo information anywhere on my site, or geo signals. But I think in larger corporate situations, they can get away with it. I think to a degree, like having a co-UK hosted on their American servers, but. Yeah. But to a degree, yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be trying to host.
I might agree that it does contribute in country targeting, but country targeting is not really local.
Well, it can be.
So,
I work with corporate clients that have local offices, and they're trying to arrange there as well. But anyway, it's a different story altogether. All right.
Really, the country stuff really counts for what index you can get into.
All right, number 3, local review and, number 2, Bing places for business. Spending time on Bing, are we? Should we? Why?
Really, it's a function of one. Yes, Bing does send traffic, and 2, we're back to making sure you claim all your listings. You want to be presenting a comprehensive and complete local impression of your business in as many places as possible. So you want the address the same everywhere. You want the phone number the same everywhere.
Right.
You want,
and that goes back to the various patents I've read, as well as actually the Google Raters guide, that says if there's discrepancies about an actual basically local information, phone numbers, addresses, if there's discrepancies in various other places, other than where they find information, other than the website itself, like directories or whatever, yellow pages, stuff like that, that there's a slight dampening in your trust score. So,
and that's quite likely. It also plays a role when you get these other sites that take local feeds from sites like Bing and Google and Yelp and the others. And if your listing's wrong on one of those major distribution points, it's going to be wrong on an awful lot of little points. So you need to really get those top-level ones cleared up.
Yellow Pages in Canada is really bad for that.
Right.
All right, local review and listing sites. Yelp, Foursquare, Yellow Pages, City Search, Yahoo Local, Merchant Circle, and Local.com.
There are a whole lot more of those. But those were the big ones that I try to make sure we get listed on. Again, we're back to covering all your bases, making sure you have the same listing everywhere, making sure that you own those listings. You don't want somebody else pretending to be you on Yelp or Foursquare answering questions. And again, you're back to giving the same signal to Google in as many places as possible.
Yeah, I think that's why you claim your Bing page and your Google business page, basically so someone else can. And as well, there's a number of directories. Same deal. Anybody can claim a page and put whatever they want there. Like
mark your territory. Mark your territory. Claim it everywhere.
Yep.
Avoid squatters at all costs.
Be like a dog. Go piss and shit everywhere. Mark out your territory.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I like it. Better Business Bureau. Wow, this one I'm sure there'll be a lot of people speaking right now. But
this is one of those things.
I guess like rip-off report and things like that, you just can't afford not to. Is that the theory?
Yeah. And a lot of local businesses are already members of the Better Business Bureau. They're just not a member of the online version.
Right.
And so, if you're already a member of the Better Business Bureau, take advantage of it, get listed there. I didn't list on here, but you also want to do the same thing with your local Chamber of Commerce if they have a listing. Again, we're back to giving Google as many signals as possible,
right,
so that they understand you're here.
Right.
I think there's something special about the BBB too. I think it sends a trust signal to Google. And
Oh,
I definitely don't agree with that, but I think it does.
And it sends a trust signal to customers, too.
Well, that's
definitely.
and
Those
again,
that don't really understand that it's just an extortion organization.
and again, there's a lot of bullshit in when Google says for the users, but there's also a lot of truth sometimes when Google says do things for the users. Isn't that what it comes down to, Steve? If it satisfies Google, if something I want to do that for my users satisfies Google, great. I'm not doing it for Google, but it's just good to, thank you. Thanks.
There's a lot of signals around trust that you should be putting on a website for reasons other than Google. Like the thing that everything has to be for Google, that never really made sense to me because Google doesn't buy anything. So,
I like your bonus tip here, Steve, which is asking customers for reviews is an important part of gaining reviews. I was literally going to buy rats and stuff for my snake last year. And they had a little A-frame outside the pet store saying, review us on Google and get a 10% off coupon and shit like that. I was like, really? Nice work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Technically, that's buying reviews, and Google doesn't like that.
I know they don't.
That's how you
it's on an A-frame. I don't think, unless the Google cars drive by at the time, I think you're okay. Someday the world will just be populated by nothing but
Google. But if they're all coming from the same IP, they're not going to count them.
But anyways, asking for reviews is always
right. But one of the things we found a while back was there's just a little bit of code you can add to the end of your Google link, your Google Plus or Google Page link, that will when it goes to your page, it'll throw up a pop-up for them to give you a review right there. We found a long time ago that a lot of people were willing to go to Google and write a review. They just couldn't figure out how, because Google doesn't make that easy or intuitive in any way, shape, or form. So by dropping them right to your page with an automatic pop-up where all they got to do is hit the number of stars, fill it in, and hit go, sure does make life easy.
You turn off the lights there, Dave, or what?
No, fuck it. I got a new camera here, and it's just a learning process here. So I'm adjusting things as we go. That'll have to fucking do for now. I'm still on there. Okay, so there we go. Have we been educational? Anything to add? 129, boys. That's fucking artwork.
Perfect. Almost like you'd think we knew what we were actually doing.
No. I think this summer is, 6 years, boys?
Yeah, we've been doing this a while.
Yeah, it seems that way. All right, so on with the news of the week. Oh, and of course, because Steve's not going to, ladies and gentlemen, anybody looking for some local help, feel free to go to steamdrivenmedia.com and check it out. Anyways, I also put a link on the event page to Steve's article. You can go read the whole thing and get more from it. And just track him down the rest. Really, just call and give inquiries even if you don't need help. Keep busy. He's loaded. Where are we going? Oh, I know where we're going. Here we go. There you go, Terry. Just to keep the date. Let's start off with a bang.
Oh, not this.
Yeah, come on, man. I have to go here. Okay, so this one actually had a bunch of little tit for tats going in our own Dojo chat room this week. Again, folks, they've been shit again. SEO Dojo is just fun because you sit around and there's no leaders, there's no heroes, there's no nothing. We just argue about shit. We don't always agree, and this was one of those moments. So I guess the counter argument, for anybody listening as opposed to watching, my bad. I get used to this, even though we've been doing it a couple years. It's an article on Search Engine Watch called "The Myth of the Penguin Penalty," and the premise of this is, and I'll quickly read through them. Here we go. Myth number 1 is you must perform a manual link removal. Myth number 2, you must perform a link audit and submit a disavow. 3, 4, 5 really don't matter. So let's get that. Anyway, so all of this was born from, well, I guess at the end of the day, I gotta blame Matt because he left, and John's just not as good at that as him. John's just not as good at it. You know, he's got some time to put in. Anyway, John Mueller had made some comments over the last while of, you know, no, you don't always have to, because there's always what we would call edge cases. And there's going to be situations where, yeah, maybe you don't. And the infamous just throw more links at it. It's kind of funny, Steve, because that's what he said. And that's the first time anyone at Google's ever said that. So
just get more links. They used to say it in the early days, like.
Yeah, well, you see, they went back to guidelines, kids. Come on. I've got screenshots of them telling us to get directory links.
Yep.
That went all wrong. You just can't tell us anything.
Well, you got to remember, all things are subject to change. You know, just like any good scheme.
No, I'm an SEO. I refuse to evolve. I refuse to evolve. I'm an SEO. I'm just going to stay where I am.
I am absolutely fine with change and evolution. What I'm not fine with is you going back 7 years and going, oh, I caught you speeding 7 years ago when it was legal, but now it's not legal, so I'm going to write you that ticket now.
I'm with you. You know me. They should grandfather that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we send to build directories, any directory links built within this frame period, this time frame period, fucking get null and voided. You know, you can't punish a guy for doing something you told him to do 5 years ago. Like, fuck off. Anyways, all right. So, okay, folks. So here we go. I think, you know, me, I'm going to state my own personal opinion, is that, yeah, you can approach Penguin by not removing links. You can approach Penguin by not disavowing, or one or the other, or whatever. I just don't think if you're doing any kind of recovery forensic work that's proper fucking diligence, in the sense that you should be trying to remove what you can, disavowing the rest, and trying to attract new links at the same time. There's no fucking reason to read something like this. And I think that was when we also came down to the Dojo that was framed badly, Terry, that the whole myth, it's not a fucking myth. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
And also, Dave, just that, you know, how can you say, well, actually, it's just about, you know, the ratio between good and bad links. Well, if that's the case, you know, I've done enough of these to know it's a lot easier to remove and disavow links than to go out and get new content placed. Because people just aren't taking that stuff much anymore. If they're taking it, it's probably not somewhere you want to be.
And why is that, Steve? Because Google made such a big thing out of the links, scared the crap out of everyone.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, people won't even take stuff, and a lot of it's to do with that. If they do take it, their editorial guidelines tell them that they're not linking this shit.
Yeah, you know, the candidates are, you know, like when we first started doing outreach, you know, you'd have 100 sites to write to. Now I do the same searches. I might come up with 2 or 3 that I think are, you know, possibles.
And out of those 2 or 3, 1 or 2 of them are terrified to do anything.
Right. Right.
Yeah. There's your problem. So anyway, yeah, the guy, you know, the article doesn't say that, you know, this is guaranteed work. I just think the way it was framed with the whole myth thing and being on a prominent location, that, and again, it's irresponsible with the way it was presented. You know what I mean? If they titled that fucking thing, some interesting thoughts on Penguin. I know it doesn't sell, but I don't know, the whole myth thing pissed me off. Honestly.
Yeah, calling it a myth and, you know, not really explaining. Like, if you and I can read between the lines on that and understood what he said, but there's a lot more people out there that don't have the ability to read between the lines and haven't really formed their own opinions. So they're looking for guidance, and I just question whether this is good guidance for someone to be following, because he's called this a myth, when in fact it makes more sense than doing what he says. And That's the other thing. He claims to have experience. I don't know how you can say these things and actually have much experience actually doing them. Because if you do that, you realize it's a lot easier to disavow content than
No,
to get...
not real experience. But again, you know, if Alan, you're still out there, he's another guy like us that would know what forensics is actually about. I see people all the time in private groups and everywhere else saying that they're specialists in recovery and this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, you fucking kidding. They're everywhere now, Terry. They've popped, everyone's a fucking recovery specialist now. It's like the fucking, you know,
Well, because they read a couple articles like this, because they read a couple articles like this. And that's why we, you know, people wonder how we get a bad reputation. Well, this is it, because this guy is propagating a myth, right? When he says that's a myth, he's actually propagating a misguided myth, actually.
I'm of the opinion that you're reading this whole thing wrong. I don't think he's saying that you don't. I think what he's saying is that it's possible to do a recovery without doing some of these things.
Yeah, but
and
it's not
true.
both sides of the story. It's not
recovery without doing things.
You know, again, where's my big caveat saying that, you know, the best way to recover is to do them all? You know what I mean? Where's the details to point?
If you're going to put some effort, you might as well do them all.
You know, because I'll sit here now, I'm not writing this, but I'm talking on the air. I'll sit here now and say, listen, John Mueller said some stuff, then he backtracked. We followed this whole fucking thing as an act. You know what I mean? And you come out with an article, you know, 6 weeks later and call these things fucking myths without explaining how he came to these conclusions, explaining the whole chain of events that led to these thoughts, because he didn't fucking come up with them. Fucking John Mueller said something stupid on the air 2 or 3 times, backtracked. When he backtracked, everyone did the fucking Matt cuts. You know, when he says black, it's white, da-da-da. And Barry reports it, and so on and so on. That's where all this came from. This guy didn't just pull it out of his ass because of experience. He literally just followed the news and then wrote an article saying, ha-ha, and called it fucking mess. And that's the problem, man, is it's not...
He answers questions literally, Dave, and then people put general meaning to it. That's the problem. Because he's talking within the context of the question he's given. So, you know, they're not going to tell you everything. And what he leaves out sometimes makes a difference.
For those that are regular followers of the show or anything like that, we covered this way back when it happened. But, you know, John Mueller and someone had asked him, you know, if you had a disavow or if you know, could get good links, would that help? And he basically talked about thresholds. What we talk about is thresholds. In the sense that, sure, if you've got 50 bad links and you have a really big news story that goes popular and you get 100 new quality links, that's going to dampen that threshold down. But if you're talking 20,000 crappy links and 100,000 link profile, throwing 500 links at it is not going to solve your problem. You still need to go through the process. Mueller just explained it kind of like you're saying, Terry. He explained it very, you know, specifically that, yeah, it could, might, may happen, but, you know, it's not...
He answered the question. He didn't tell the guy that it would be much easier to disavow and remove links, too. You know, that's all he had to add to that answer to make it cover all the generalities that people are putting to it. That's the problem. He's answering a question specifically, and then it's taken to another and applied it to everything, which is what SEOs are prone to do with any information they get.
Yep. All right. So on to... for those of you freaking out there, there was rumblings around the world about Google making some bloody changes, and then it was Panda, Penguin, and again, Terry, the old hammer and nail analogy came out on that one. But all you got's a hammer, everything looks like a nail, folks, and guess what? Google actually does things other than updating Panda and Penguin. Did you know that, folks? And hell, sometimes
there may be a way to improve the results other than Panda and Penguin.
I know. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Alan Blayweiss was just saying, does John Mueller actually speak with the spam team and the quality team reps? Often the upper is testing most of the time. I think he's a lot closer to the search quality team, but I don't think he's real tight with the web spam team. So again, yeah, I think John's just answered shit off the top of his head.
Well, here's the thing, Dave, and you know when
Ever
that
since
first
Matt
came
left,
out,
ever
the
since Matt
first
left,
thing.
everything's been put on him, you know, because Barry or whoever's covering what he says instead of what Matt says. So he's not used to that spotlight. He's not used to the Google Speak answers, Steve. You gotta have a talent for that, man. Anyway, so yeah, again, everyone was running around Panda Penguin shit oh my, and strangely enough, folks, yeah, there is not. We've had Hummingbirds Cafe. Like, it's almost like unless it has a name, Terry, that no one can think beyond it. You know?
Right. Well, no one actually, all they did was look at a tool. No one bothered to really go to the SERP and see what the hell was really going on. Because if you're familiar with a SERP, you see right away what's going on. Because you're familiar with what's number one, what's number two, and what's on those sites. So, and remember, when that stuff first come out, you and I gave you a couple of paragraphs from it, and we both said it's probably neither. What did we say? It's probably a change to the query classifications, and that's what it seems to have been, like navigational, transactional.
Yeah. Well,
when you
again,
see,
it could even be leading back towards conversational and that whole hummingbird kind of approach. You know what I mean? Where we saw query classifications change, that they weren't as exact match, and they were more generalized conversational type of approaches to dealing with a query. And I think, there might be some of that in here. Later on, Barry reported that Google's e-commerce, he calls it Google's e-commerce update. There you go again, folks. Got to name something, eh, Terry? It couldn't be affecting multiple things. No.
Dave, I can understand why they would call it an e-commerce one, because if they change the transactional queries, that's going to affect e-commerce, right? Like,
yeah.
Sure. Why do we have to, specific like that? Why not just say, they changed the query classifications? People actually learned something then.
Well, that's what I'd like to see. Anyways, so this article is actually based off some research from our friends at Search Metrics, so take that for what you will. We spoke with Marcus Tober, our buddy, so that's where this one came from. Interestingly enough, though, I guess we can somewhat go with this to a degree, in that first thing we did, folks, as usual, since we have a big group of people at the SEO Dojo, is we asked members on our various groups. And e-commerce was one of the things that came back, and the other thing was brands.
Yeah.
So, you mix those two in, and they actually are a bit synonymous to a degree, because you're selling brands on an e-commerce site, or you are a brand of an e-commerce site, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think there might be something to this, again.
Well, also, too, Dave, a brand can be a transactional. It's a hybrid query, right?
Right.
With a brand.
Exactly. It could be navigational, informational, or transactional. Right.
It could be all three.
Right.
So that's the ones that would be.
Which is an entity, not a brand, but okay.
Entity, correct. You get the $69 prize today.
Yay. But yeah, so there does seem to be potential correlation around this. So.
And again, that is the kind of thing that they have been doing for years. Like Florida was basically a similar type of query reclassification or classification of sites type, as we get more and more into this topic conversation, where it's more about a topic, not keywords anymore. I think that's the major shift that we have to overcome. Is you got to think about keywords, but you got to look at them much broader than we did in the old days, right?
Oh yeah, I do. You know, again, I kind of had that slated as a potential topic at some point, either here, Friday chat, or whatever. But yeah, you know what I mean? I stopped thinking about keywords a long time ago. I started thinking about concepts and semantic baskets of terms. You know, modifiers such as transactional information and so on and so on. You know, maybe I stopped thinking keywords a long time ago. Just me. Wow, this one's going quick. Another one for you, Terry. Not here, isn't it, Steve? For the folks at home, Steve was even saying before the show he was trying to think of something that Terry would be irked by to put in his post. Just for you listeners, just for you guys, you know, just to get Terry going. So, on that note, Google strongly discourages meta refresh type redirects. Wow, for you Microsoft folks, that's got to be awesome, right, Terry?
Yeah. Well, it's only, you know, older. It's the oldest SEO trick out there. I mean, it's older than fucking dirt.
Well,
the problem is, I think somewhere around a year ago, didn't they say that meta refresh redirects of 0 would be considered 301s?
I do believe we came across that, yes. So it's a 180.
And now they're saying don't do them.
Oh, hold on. Who's recording this, though? Is this John Mueller again? Yeah, it's John Mueller. So, yeah, we're going to have to take that with a grain of salt.
How about a shaker of salt?
Well, Google is never. The thing is, I think John's basically saying, don't use them because we don't. Like, I think they don't pay a lot of attention to something using that kind of a redirect. Because they don't.
The problem is, I can give you a whole stack of scenarios where that's the only kind of redirect available.
Well, no, yeah, Terry and I were working on an MS. You know, was it .NET or was it? I don't know. Anyways, you know, the answer Terry came up with was dynamically rewriting the pages with meta refreshes. You know what I mean? So sometimes that's the option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no other way to do it other than, yeah. But I don't think we're really concerned that Google was going to follow it, though. I think that was why we came to that conclusion. It didn't really matter, so what's the dealio, right? I would have come up with a better solution than that.
There was so many good things this week. Well, we should. I don't know what to do. No, I don't know. Feeling cheeky. So I found a definition of inbound marketing. It was funny enough, the gang, the gang in the Dojo chat room was talking about this for a while this week. So here's the article over on SEO Rush. Why you need to add inbound marketing to your SEO toolbox. I was like, I had to look at the date. I was like, what is this, 2012? Come on.
Yeah.
I thought we killed this fucking thing. So anyways, what was, hold on, let me pull it up. I have this somewhere here.
Well, she does outbound marketing too, so.
Nicole's good people. She's a good
Oh,
person.
no.
There's just
yeah.
we just have this pet peeve about calling it inbound marketing, but
Yeah,
you can blame HubSpot on that.
So she writes, what is inbound marketing, you ask? Inbound marketing is the opposite of outbound marketing. It involves establishing yourself as an authority. Now, Colin, let me finish this. It's good. It involves establishing yourself as the authority in a particular niche, creating credibility, and generating discussion amongst your target market. Now, again, she might be a groovy chick and everything. So that's really not what I'm up to here, anyways. I think the point we were making earlier in the week was, in our private world, was that there's a zillion fucking definitions for this. At least, you know, PPC, you could say, okay, here's generally, you know, you can make a statement as to what it is. SEO, pretty much the same. You know, most forms of marketing, you can, you know, social is social.
Just
Inbound.
somebody couldn't rank for SEO, couldn't rank for internet marketing, so they thought of inbound marketing. It's that simple.
Moz.
Actually, I think
All
HubSpot
of
did
them.
it first.
Wasn't
HubSpot,
Moz, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
actually HubSpot
HubSpot,
who
yeah.
first started that nonsense.
So,
But the Moz jumped on the bandwagon. As soon as they saw that there was a bandwagon to jump on, they were there with spades.
oh gosh, so much to look at. All right, Terry, what's this people talk? People talk about.
Oh, yeah, it's a program by Google that basically goes and gets quotes off the web, and they're not really particular where they get them from. The thing I posted was on Google Plus, and it basically someone wanted information on it. There's also a link there to a post where Google talks about what this is. It's basically some sort of application that Google has that aggregates reviews, but they're not off your site and they're not from Google. They could be almost from anywhere. And they picked up some bad ones. There are a couple of bad examples there in what the information I found. I think it's one, if you're doing local, you want to be mindful of it.
Yeah, you can torpedo people with this shit, can't you?
Yeah, because what you could do is a competitor could put nonsense about another competitor on his website and Google pick it up. Yeah. That's what I thought too when I read it. Oh, this is
yeah, add it to the negative SEO playbook, no, Steve?
yeah. Well, I don't think they
Negative SEO
really
doesn't
look at
work.
what we may do, Dave, and that's how they get into trouble. They don't realize that everything like that and SEO is going to try and manipulate it some way. You know, it's like giving a kid matches. You can bet he's going to light a fire.
Well, we're segueing well here. Steve, I think it was you I was talking with this one this week, and you were like, wow, that low. We were a little interesting tidbit here this week, and again, for the folks listening and not watching, it's an article about a guy basically who decided to play around and try and sell negative SEO services.
Right.
Remember this? Yeah. And,
Oh, yeah.
Where's his response rates?
It was actually pretty high.
So, yeah, there's 61 people he contacted about this service. 2 gave him some well-deserved abuse while rejecting the offer. 11 politely rejected the offer. 19 wanted more information on the service. And 29 accepted the offer outright and asked me for payment details. So what's that?
Yeah.
48 people out of 60 were interested in the negative SEO service.
Or at least getting more information about it.
Yes.
That's problematic, man, for Google, everybody.
You think? Not unexpected.
It keeps coming back to, you know, if you can identify it and penalize it, why not just ignore it?
Yeah.
Yep. End of the fucking day. If you think it's a bad link, then why are you even bothering to count it? Ignore it. Get on with your day. You know.
Yeah. Why count it? Why show it in Webmaster Tools? Just, you know, bin it
Why
and be
keep
done.
a permanent record? Right?
Well, again, as we've said many times, you know what I mean? It's because it's some shitty SEO provider, not usually the business owner. And so you're hurting the business owner while that shitty SEO provider is going to go keep on doing what he's fucking doing. So, and then, well, Terry, then he's going to start a forensic and cleanup service to go with it.
Yeah, because he knows where all the bad links are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alive and well, negative SEO. Yay! Wow, this one would take way too much time. Do we care about Google and the Twitter fire hose?
Do we care what?
About Google and the Twitter fire hose?
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to see it in the search results, to be quite honest. Like, they tried real-time search. It did, you know, they were pretty quick to move it down the SERP. Remember, Dave, it started at the top. Within a month, it was at the bottom of the SERP and gone shortly after that. So that tells me that they really didn't want it there. I think they're getting the hose so they can use, they're going to basically have all your tweets so they can compare it to what you're saying elsewhere.
Well, I think to a degree they might also be looking at in the social graph as far as, you know, you remember some of the concepts I've talked about as far as it's not only knowing who people are connected to, but how often they respond to them and what immediacy. And again, I always use that Matt Cutts sort of reference about your email. If you're answering certain emails during work hours faster than others, a good chance that it's your boss or someone like that or whatever. That merely having the social connections that are, you know, from their profile page isn't a deep enough social graph element for them, so they probably want to, you know, they're probably looking at something like that.
Yeah,
it's not as much displaying the results as understanding the graph, and now it's interactive.
Yeah, couldn't they also, Dave, you know, they have all your stuff on Google Plus, right? They could compare what they get out of the Twitter fire hose, right? To make sure that the influence metrics that they may be using are accurate.
Yeah, cross-referencing data points.
Yeah, like a verification signal. Like they like to, you know, twist all this shit together.
Yeah, I would think the fire hose is probably more important for that to them.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see real-time search. That's the thing. You know?
Well, no, because they haven't said anything but that. Again, all they said was
my favorite about real-time search is being able to spam it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a real ranking thing. It's more of an entity thing and a social graph kind of element than anything.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the data.
I think.
But you know it's going to get flooded with links.
Yeah, I think they might also include it, like where they would include your social posts on Google Plus. Because when I search certain people, like when I search on you or Steve, right, Dave? I get, if you guys have written on the topic, I don't see much from Steve, but if you guys have written on the topic, I'll get your post on Google Plus that links to your article.
Well, yeah, when I'm logged in and I search Terry Van Horn, when I'm logged in and I search Terry Van Horn, I'll also see a little knowledge graph card that I wouldn't, you know, most people normally wouldn't see. And then down there is, you know, latest post on Google Plus. I'm sure within the next while we're going to see latest tweets below that. So I think it's just more about the graph than it is any kind of ranking.
Yeah, it'll also be a way too to verify relationships, where someone is following someone on Google Plus. Are they following them on Twitter? That sort of thing, right? You know, there's a lot of ways that they can use it that have nothing to do with search. That's my point.
Well, I've got time for one more. You got your choice, Terry. We can do the Google Panda Penguin waitlist, or we can do the YouTube versus Facebook uploads. Pick one.
I would rather talk about the video.
Good, thank you, God. I was hoping you would. We're too much Google around here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can Google.
Has good insights on that. I'm sure he's promoting on both channels, right, Steve? Video.
Yeah.
I did
promote anywhere.
Terry, I actually did find from our friends over at Real SEO a reasonably good article about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the story goes, folks, and again, this is another one of those Dojo chat room things. You don't know what you're missing. Get over to the Dojo chat room now. Look for a coupon code on this note. Anyways, okay, so the story goes that some social channel website reported that there were more uploads of more uploads of videos to Facebook, or I think they looked at like prominent people or something. Anyways, to Facebook than there was to YouTube, and the discussion went down with us that anybody with any, Steve, you're a big YouTube guy, right? So there's not a chance of catching them anytime soon for actual uploads fucking en masse, day by day. There's no way. Am I missing something?
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't see how it's possible unless, because we are seeing a steep growth in videos on Facebook where people are downloading them from YouTube to upload them on Facebook.
Not just embedded.
And we're also seeing a lot of phone video. An awful lot of phone video, short clips of people taking their kids.
And that's what I think. So isn't it more akin that it would be a competition for buying or something than YouTube? Because YouTube is not really the same. You know what I mean? It's just Apple forms.
Exactly. YouTube's not really designed for casual engagement. It's becoming more of a long form.
I've got my smartphone. My kitten's doing something cute. I record it and I hit the button, upload to Facebook. There it is. Now that doesn't equate to how people use YouTube and search YouTube and market on YouTube. I don't see it the same. I think Facebook is just what it is. Is you're putting up little videos about your puppy and your dog and your kid at their recital or what the fuck ever. That's totally different than what goes on at YouTube. So that's why I don't understand the whole comparison, other than the fact that the people who wrote the original article are invested in the social media space.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense here. For one thing, Facebook videos are auto start, annoying as fuck, and so you just scroll down and that starts a video. So their numbers are skewed like fucking 90, like. To the point where I would put
mouse over. Steve, isn't it mouse over though? Like if you keep your
it's
I don't know. I disabled that feature so long ago. I don't see videos don't autoplay for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jerry.
Yeah, it is auto start there. So all the numbers about the engagement and all that stuff are mostly bullshit. I also, and I think this is the article that you're referencing, Dave, is. There was somebody who was claiming that people were leaving YouTube. They were going to just go on Facebook. I don't believe that for a minute because, well, it just doesn't make sense. You're going to be on both. I mean,
well, again, that was kind of my advice, is that because you can embed a YouTube video on Facebook, and YouTube as a business is where you're promoting things or doing whatever activities you are. It doesn't make sense to even upload them to two different places. Fuck that. Just embed it into YouTube. Into Facebook once you've done it on YouTube.
Well, there's there's also stuff to do with advertising that it's more advantageous to. Oh, okay, maybe. Okay, I forget which one it was, but one had a better ad system.
That would be YouTube. There's no question. I don't think there is. Is there a partner program on Facebook for videos, Steve? No. Right?
No.
No. So no, that's YouTube all the way. And that's I think that's a large segment of it, Steve, isn't it? That other than businesses, marketing, there's just a lot of people who want to be YouTube stars and they're uploading shit and hooking it up to add their accounts and there's a partner program, and YouTube wins at the end of the day just on that alone, I'm pretty sure, as far as videos of actual entertainment quality. Again, it's apples and oranges. People uploading pictures of their freaking video of their 30-second video of their dog so that their friends and family can see it. It's totally different than what goes on YouTube.
Well, it's also Facebook is, it's only a matter of time before someone comes and slaps someone in the nuts because the copyright, they're doing nothing to stop copyright infringement on Facebook.
And Steve, even the usability, like searching for a video on YouTube compared to one on, it's just not going to happen. Nobody does it.
Yeah, I can't. That's another thing that I kind of said. Why would someone do? Choose.
No, I guess my point is that again, that taking one data point of all total uploads or whatever, and trying to say that comparing that to YouTube, it just doesn't make sense, Steve. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, to think
for a video on Facebook.
Well, they were basically saying you were better off to be on Facebook than YouTube, and not a fucking chance. Like, that's just stupidity. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have the fact that you may get into the results in Google if you're on YouTube as well. I rather doubt Google is putting videos from Facebook in the results.
Well, that's one of the things I showed in the chat room. That's one of the things I showed in the chat room was I did a search for a how-to whatever the fuck, and then hit video in Google because you want to see what Google thinks. And there was nothing there for Facebook. There was the usual suspects, YouTube and wherever. Like, come on. Anyway, so 2:07, right over. And I still have a few things, but we'll leave it alone. I guess.
They owe us 7 minutes, Dave.
No, I think pretty sure we owed him. We owed him from last week. All right, folks. As always, thanks for tuning in. Next week, I don't know if we're doing anything. I have no idea. I still haven't come up with a good idea for Such Speak, and we got a week, so I don't know. Tune in. We might have something. If not Friday, be sure to tune in for this SEO Dojo Friday chat. I think it's a grab bag of stuff. And then I think Terry and I are also working on some new show that someone's offered us. Sorry, Steve, I had to leave you behind.
Yeah, they'd only let 2 of us, or we'd have you there in a minute. We'll have you as a guest.
I'm sure they'd let us have 3. The only reason I haven't bothered Steve is because he's trying to tone down on this shit. So. Anyways, all right, guys, good show as always. Steve she's there, but good week. A lot of fun. Terry Van Horn, SEO Pros, SEO Dojo, Steve Gartzer, Steve Driven Media, and local SEO expert.
No, that would be Charles.
Yeah, we're 10% commission. Yeah, if you go to Steve and you want that deep discount, just tell him you heard him on SEO Dojo Radio, no Regulators, and that way I'll get my.
That's true. We'll get the SEO Training Dojo rate. We don't call it a discount, it's the rate.
No, it means you'll actually mark it up 10% so I can get my 10% back. So, anyways, all right, guys. Fun as always.
Make lots of money.
Have a good week, everybody.
Yep, go.